everybody, welcome back to Ibnez Prestige 6-string. This is this 6-string version of the one we had earlier, and it's kind of the same amount of out of whack. It's got way too much relief, and therefore your string height's too high, and the bridge is set wrong because you can't access the intonation screws from where it actually should be up about there. So we're going to fix everything. I'm just going to start from 0, and this one has all the parts in the it's not missing the extra screws or springs. I'll show you. Alright, let's get the strings off of this and do some polishing and cleaning, and we'll be back. So a couple things I didn't touch on the last video. When you're preparing your Floyd style bridge, a little bit of lubrication on the post. Of the knife edge. So it'll move a lot better. And the other thing I didn't show you is we take a 10 mil, we snug up the tuning machines, which tend to get loose over time. Even though this is a locking system, kind of like a Floyd Rose, you don't want loose parts. We're not cranking them, we're just snugging them up. And let's see here. Oh yes, the other issue was he was having trouble with the fine tuners, in that they are being a little hard to turn, and they do feel crusty, no doubt about that. Really crusty. So I'm going to take them out as far as they'll come, and I'll drop some more of this lubricant down in there, in the threads, so that you have a bit of make it easier to work with, you know. And this is not a super lightweight lubricant. It tends to stay where you put it. And if I just work this up and down through the threads, it'll get where it needs to go. Okay, so we got these somewhat in the middle of their travel. Now I'm going to hit this with some simple green and a toothbrush. Toothbrush. Next thing I want to do is make sure that this jack makes noise. It does. Scratchy knobs, probably from lack of use. That one's cleaned up pretty good. This is just from not getting used. We call them fret erasers here, but in the UK they call them fret rubbers. They're a little weird. Maybe we're a little weird. This, like its 7-string sister, was gonna need a fret level and crown as well, because we got flat surfaces here and munchy over here. But it's not quite ready for it. I'd say maybe next year sometime. You don't want to let it go too far, you know. So unplug this. Polish these frets up. That's the right one. So we're going to use some 2400 micro mesh. Oh yeah, I love this stuff. You can't get this kind of result out of using fret erasers only. You don't want to use steel wool, because that breaks up and ends up in your electronics, stuck to the magnet poles of your pickups, and it just makes a mess. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this truss rod. See what that looks like with a not straight edge. We'll make that next flat. Or at minimum a little bit of a back bow. That's not enough. Just using a 4,000th feeler gauge to see what we got here. I think that's as close as we're going to get to a back bow. This oil tends to leach out a little bit. It absorbs what it needs, and then gotta wipe the rest off. Okay, so we have our 6-string Prestige strung up, and the bridge is where we want it. This one, unlike the 7-string, has the 0 point system with these 2 added springs on it, so that there's a center point of where the trim block ends up, and that gets us our position on our bridge. And we are tuned to B, then F flat, B, E, G flat, or G sharp, and C sharp. And I'm going to let it sit overnight, just see where the relief is, because we did quite a bit of truss rod turning. Let's see where that relief is. Holding down at the 17th. We want 10th thou. It's looking way better. Oh yeah, that's perfect. It'll change overnight because it was quite a drastic change that we made. So that's it for tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow. Alright everybody, we are back here with our white 6-string Ibnez Prestige, and it appears that everything has stopped moving, and stopped moving where I wanted it to. So we're looking for 10 thou here, and we got 10 thou. But the idea of this is, what you do is you loosen this screw, and you use this intonation tool that they give you, that intonation tool, and you pull the saddle back to where you want it, hold it and tighten it, and then pray. Now the idea is you're supposed to be able to use this to screw in or unscrew and move the saddle, but they are so hard to move, unlike the key that you use for Floyd Rose that has this big honking knurled knob on it, something to grab onto. This just doesn't have enough, it's not wide enough, and you can't get a good grip on it. So do it the old-fashioned way that everybody used to do before we had those tools. And we nailed it. Yep, we're good. So I'm going to finish the last string. I've got the first 4 done. Got the B position done, which is a G sharp. And now we're going to do the E position, which is a C sharp. And let's, just so you know, it's just a little sharp. So it's only going to get pulled a little back, but I can see that it is all the way up against the locking screw. So I only have to come back a little bit on that. I'm wondering if that screw is even tight. How it is, but nobody ever set this thing up right. So to access this, I'm going to pull the bar down a little bit, unscrew the tool, screw the tool back into the next, and I want enough thread through there that I can just say, actually this is working the way it's supposed to. I'm going to bring this in, zoom it in, show you what I'm doing. Now it's holding the thing in place. So now I was trying to do it up here, and it just, these strings are too heavy and they don't like to be pulled back like that, even whenever you loosen it way off. So we want C sharp. We nailed it. Okay, now I can, this is the way this is supposed to work, but I've had several of these in there where on your three or four thicker strings, it just is not like that. It's too hard to turn. All right. Double check. Boom. All right. Take the bar and hold it down and remove the tool. And that's how you do that. All right, guys. I'm going to finish this off and put the cover back on the back and stuff, and we're going to call this done. So Ibnez Prestige setup. We'll zoom it back out so you can see what the hell I'm talking about. There we go. And see, I put a piece of tape here just to protect from this screw being moved and everything. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lock down the strings up at the nut. I should say up, I should say, boy, up at the nut, up here. And now when we do that, because whenever you hold it, if you push down on this, you'll see that you can move it about, you can move it considerably as far as the tuning. So you're going to take it just a hair flat of standard tuning, so that when you put your lockers back on, and these are all in the center of their travel, then you should be really close to being in, but you've already set your intonation, so as soon as it's tuned back up with the fine tuners, you're in tune. So we'll be back to wrap it up. Okay, all of our locking pieces are in the locking nut. Everything is intonated. The bridge is where I want it to be. The only thing left to do is to replace the truss rod cover, and let's see if that noise has gone away from this. I might have to spray a little bit of cleaner in that. So let's get the noisemaker and check. Just in the very end of it. Okay, we're going to call this done. I just have to put the bits and pieces back on it. But for all intents and purposes, as far as this video is concerned, it's done. Let's just double check our string height. Since we made all kind of moves with the bridge, I want to make sure that they're not pulling down on the pickups. That's good. That one's still good. That one's good. Come over here. Good. Good. And that one can come up just a little bit. I need the other end of this. All these tools laying around to do these complex bridges scare me because there's a lot of them are sharp. There we go. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us again down here in the underground lair. If you like what you see, please hit like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. If you need your axe sharpened, Stringman Guitars, Facebook, send me an instant message. Take care of your old folks, take care of your neighbors, love your neighbor like you love yourself. Be careful. The hospitalization cases are going up. Just be careful and mindful of everybody you're around. So, with that said, peace.